I am not going to talk about the brand new bike Scott just launched until we get one thing straight. Scott makes 3 road bikes: the Foil, the Addict RC, and the Addict. The Foil is the brand's aero bike, the Addict RC is the lightweight race bike, and the Addict is the new endurance road bike that has been launched today. I saw far too many people getting confused in the Weight Weenies forum. The Addict RC and the Addict are 2 separate bikes designed for 2 very different things. In this video, I'm going to tell you 7 key things that you need to know about the new Addict. I'm going to talk you through the full range, how it stacks up against competitors, and finally, share my overall thoughts. So, let's dive in. First up, the Addict has now joined the in-frame storage gang. The access port for the in-frame storage is in a slightly awkward position as it's on the underside of the down tube just above the bottom bracket. But Scott claims this helps balance the centre of gravity, aiding in better handling. While other bikes do have easier to access ports, it's really not a deal breaker. The 2 most expensive builds come with a tool roll included, or as Scott is calling it, a save the day kit. All other Addict builds though will have to buy it as an extra. That's not the only hidden tool the Addict features though, because all builds, as standard, come with a 2-function multi-tool stowed in the bottom of the handlebar drops, and this is a feature that I love. Scott has done a really good job of ensuring all bolt heads on the bike are the same, a T25, and the tool doubles as a 6mm Allen wrench for unscrewing the axles. So while it is only a 2-function tool, it's the 2 functions that you're going to need the majority of the time with this bike. Scott first introduced this on the Addict RC, so I'm really glad that it made its way onto this new Addict.
A quick one before we get on with the video. If you enjoy this video and you'd like to see more, then please consider subscribing. It helps more than you know.
Next up, and on a similar theme, we'll talk about integration. There is a hidden mounting point under the top tube that allows you to attach Scott's own frame bag. I believe there's only one size available and you'd have to buy it from Scott, but it is a nice inclusion, and between the in-frame storage and the frame bag, you'll likely never need to carry anything in your pockets during a long day out. Moving to the back of the bike, you can also buy a rear light from Scott that integrates with the Flex seat post for a very clean looking setup. Onto tyre clearance, and the frame and fork have space for 38mm tyres and come fitted with Schwalbe 34mm tyres as stock. This is in line with many other endurance bikes out there, and as always, you can normally squeeze in something a bit wider if you really want to, so I think this is a good amount. Moving on to geometry, the good news is that the new Addict comes in 7 sizes, going from extra extra small to extra extra large. Scott has done a good job by ensuring all sizes offered come with the appropriately sized components. So expect to see 36cm wide bars and 165mm cranks on the smallest bikes, and 42cm wide bars and 175mm cranks on the biggest bikes. The frame geometry itself has changed from the outgoing Addict. To take a quote directly from Scott, the new Addict is designed so that when riding with no spacers on the new Addict, it gives you the same position as 35mm of spacers on the Addict RC, ensuring a more upright and enjoyable position. The new Addict also features a 5mm higher stack and a 5mm shorter reach compared to the old Addict to aid comfort. But it does have 2mm shorter chainstays, so it may feel a little bit more playful. I'm going to talk about the frame itself now, and despite this stuff being the hardest technology to actually see working, it's also what, in theory, should make this bike perform so well. There's 2 carbon layups available, an HMX layup and an HMF. It's the HMX which is found on the 2 more expensive builds. The frame is claimed to be 25% more compliant than the Addict RC and 50% more than the outgoing Addict. Scott claims to have achieved this through seat stays that can flex outward, a top tube that offers vertical compliance, and a seat tube that can also flex forwards. Pair all of this with the brand's comfort seat post and you're left with a bike that has the ability to soak up a lot of vibrations. While this is all great, do remember, there is clearance for 38mm wide tyres. So if you really want to make things plush, just pop on some really big tyres and you will be floating over the roads. It's clear that Scott has been on a big consolidation effort with its road bikes, and I am here for it. Many of the technologies that Scott launched with its new Addict RC have made its way onto this Addict. For example, the super light seat post clamp design is the same. The super light wheel axles are the same, and the seat post is the same shape, and the steerer tube spacers are also the same. It's all these little details that will have enabled Scott to recycle its weight-saving efforts for the Addict RC, allowing the Addict to also benefit. The consolidation of parts is only a good thing in my eyes. The more uniformity in parts equals better availability and less waste. Let's talk about weight then. Here you can see a full table of claimed weights for the new Addict. While these weights are good and competitive, they're not category leading. Other brands claim lighter weights, others claim nothing at all, and some do claim heavier weights. So while these weights are good, they're not best in class. It's now time to look at the full range of Addict builds that are being made available. And I'm told that these are going to be made available from this September. In total, there's 6 Addict builds. There's one mechanical 105 build, there's 2 105 Di2 builds, one with alloy wheels and the other with carbon, an Ultegra build, a SRAM Force build, which is also the only one to come with a power meter as standard, and finally a Dura-Race build. It is a very Shimano heavy lineup. As with the Addict RC, Scott does seem to lean more towards Shimano than SRAM. And while I don't mind that, right now, I'd be wary of paying top dollar for an Ultegra or Dura-Race bike, given the high chances of a new Dura-Race and Ultegra being released in the next 12 months. SRAM, on the other hand, has just delivered a whole new range of group sets, so it'll be at least a few years before those components are out of date. That said, the current Ultegra and Dura-Race are very good group sets. So if you're not bothered about having the latest tech, then by all means, they'll serve you very well. But it's worth being aware of just in case it is a concern. I'm also finding it very hard to be upset by the potential of new group sets outdating these bikes because those prices are good. I'm really surprised at the level of value Scott appears to be offering here. Usually, when I see the prices of new bikes, my jaw drops thanks to the number of zeros. But in this case, it's quite the opposite. A Dura-Race built bike for $6.5 grand. A 105 Di2 bike for under $3 grand from a brand which isn't direct to consumer and has a reputation of building high quality, high performance bicycles. I think that's unbelievable. While spending thousands on a bike is a lot of money, the comparative bargain compared to its rivals is really rather good. I am seriously impressed. I was lucky enough to go to the launch event of the Addict RC last year and meet the brilliant people that create these bikes. Seeing their attention to detail and love of the granular details was fantastic and gave me an appreciation that these are the people I'd want obsessing over my bike. Since Scott owns Syncross, its own in-house component brand, you'll find plenty of house brand parts finishing the builds from wheels to saddles to cockpits. Surprisingly to me though, Scott has opted for Fulcrum Wind 42 wheels on the top 3 builds rather than its own wheels. The Fulcrum wheels are a set of 42mm deep hooked wheels with a 23mm internal width, whereas the Syncross Capital One wheels found on the cheaper Addict 30 are 40mm deep, hookless, and have a 25mm internal width. The Syncross wheels are also acclaimed 30 grams lighter than the Fulcrums, so depending on what you value, you might actually prefer the wheels on the cheaper bike. It's time to put those prices and specs in perspective with some key competitors. For the purposes of this comparison, I've chosen the Specialized Roubaix, Trek de Marne, Canyon Endurace, Cannondale Synapse, and the Giant Defy. Using group sets as my fixed variable, you can really start to see how the Addict stacks up. Really impressively, it's either in gold or silver position on price. It jostles with the Endurace, but unlike the Endurace, the Addict has internal frame storage on all of its models, not just the top ones. The Addict also has wider tyre clearance compared to the Endurace's 35mm, and the Addict comes with the flex seat post on all models. Again, not just the more expensive builds as it does on the Endurace. It's for this reason that I think the new Addict really stands out in the endurance market, because it seriously undercuts its rivals. Overall, I think what Scott has released today has all the potential to be the best endurance road bike out there. The things that let it down are the lack of tool roll inclusion with every build and the proprietary bag mounting system. But the fact is, those features are there. You just have to spend more money with Scott to get the benefits. However, the value, consolidation, aesthetics, integration, geometry, competitive weights, and tyre clearance make this a seriously attractive proposition. I am trying to get my hands on a bike for a full review, because if this bike performs as well as it does on paper, this could be the bike to buy. Looking at the full range, which build would I go for? For me, the Addict 30 looks seriously good. At a nice price point of £3,300, it has a reliable 105 Di2 group set, carbon wheels, and is only a couple of 100 grams heavier than the Ultegra build, but 400 grams lighter than the other 105 Di2 build thanks to those carbon wheels. On the surface, it really does look like a very complete package. So let me know down below, what do you think of the new Addict, and which one in the range would you go for?